So good morning for another PermiServ podcast. Today I'm with Jon Bayley. So he's the MD of PermiServ. So I thought today that we would have a chat about where it began, where it started, give a bit more of an insight into PermiServ and where it was and where it now is, and just have a chat really. So morning.
Hello, how you doing?
Trying not to sound weird saying good morning as usual. Yeah, good. Welcome to the podcast room.
Thank you very much.
Your first time here?
I'm excited.
Do you want to tell your face? Okay, so a bit about you first, like where your career kind of started and how we kind of got to the PermiServ name.
Yeah, I did a master's in manufacturing engineering with software. And then immediately after that, stopped using all of that and went to work in the family print business, which I did for years and years and years. We produced adhesive labels, and it was okay, but it didn't really garner that much excitement. And after a while, I was starting to get quite hacked off with it. I really wanted a more exciting challenge, just something a bit broader than that. And then as luck had it, the print industry sort of started to hit a kind of, there's a general demise in the print industry. Very competitive, and we didn't really have that much of a speciality. Mm-hmm. So as luck had it, one council came to us with a requirement for some garden waste permits. And in a conversation with them, we always, as we do now, we always try and understand a little bit about what the customer is doing with whatever they're buying from us. And it transpired that the council were buying 30,000 permits and then putting the names and address of each resident on it by hand and then posting them out by hand. So you had everyone in the department as well as the head of service sort of writing on these bits of plastic and sending them out in the post, and they absolutely hated it. They hated everything about it. It was a sort of poison chalice, as it often is. Yeah. And I thought, this is mad. It's so mad they're doing it like that. So I thought, wouldn't it be better if you had a piece of software to deal with that? And I thought, okay, I can actually use finally use my degree. So I put together a sort of model software for them. And with that council, there wasn't actually time to do anything about it. But, the sort of seed had been planted. And I tried a couple more councils to say, you're probably doing the same thing. How do you fancy working with us on this? And it's very early days. It's kind of sort of nascent idea. So you could work with us and we'll sort of tailor it to exactly how you want it. So magically, we had our first two councils that came about at the same time.
What year was that?
That was 2015, 2016, something like that. So we worked very closely with those two councils. Then a third council came on board. And that third council really took the bull by the horns. They worked really closely with us, specifying literally everything they needed from the service, which was amazing. It was, you can't get better than that, where your customers tell you what you need to do. I mean, that's
developing a product around actually what they need as opposed to guessing.
Totally, yeah, exactly. And then, rather than our attempt to work out what they want, they're telling us what they want. Sort of 2016, we had a great product put together. We had, by then, I think 5 councils using it. And I remember that era, it was really exciting. As the general print business kind of was starting to hit the rocks a bit, I was getting quite panicky about that, thinking, what are we going to do here? Yeah. But it's just the way sometimes the world works out. That was when PermiServ sort of came into being. We launched with those sort of 5-6 councils, and it was fantastic. It was really exciting. We went to RWM.
I was going to say that was the first event you did, wasn't it? RWM.
First event we did, yeah. And there were 3 of us working there. I had a sort of demo suite on the stand. And we had 2 people pulling in council delegates. We just literally had a queue of people. I was trying to demo like back to back. It was really exciting. It was great. And 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 20 different councils joining in, and the word was getting out. That's where I thought, actually, this is going to go somewhere. This is good. I put an advert out because I knew I needed a good account manager. That's where you came in.
That's where I came in.
And it just went from strength to strength. It sort of grew and grew and grew. We made a new entity, so not just we had sort of moved on from the chapter of just a print industry, kind of print company, into software, and it's more software and customer service. The actual print side of what we do is almost the smallest part.
Yeah, I agree.
It's definitely a customer service company, an IT company, and a little bit of print.
Yeah, I think the journey of change has been really strange, hasn't it? Because it was quick, and then loads of people interested, and then more people were interested because they knew they had to bring in the revenue, but then loads of things kind of happened. COVID, that delayed a lot of councils making any decisions because they had to bring all their resources in-house to manage that. And then in the background, there was the announcement that there was no information on, and it could have the waste strategy, 7 bins, garden waste being free of charge, and that was looming over everyone's decision-making process as well. Yeah. And then suddenly, well, I mean, when did that happen? Was that last year?
That was last year.
Last year, it was agreed that simpler recycling was going to come into play, and you can charge garden waste, but there was other legislation around the food waste. So it has been a proper roller coaster to get to where we are now.
The take-up was always good. It was just that waste strategy getting in the way stalled it a little bit.
Yeah, it just delayed it slightly.
It's frustrating for us. I mean, it's more frustrating for councils.
Yeah.
As soon as that disappeared, the take-up was fantastic. Yeah. And we kind of bet on that, didn't we? We thought either give up or go hell for leather on it.
We did make a lot of decisions based around the unknown. Yeah. But I'm so glad that that's what we did. Because I think, that was a conversation we had, wasn't it, during COVID? It's like, what are we going to do with regards to different outcomes? And we decided that our positioning had changed naturally anyway, because we had worked with so many councils, both of us. From the very beginning, we were starting to get this knowledge base undertone throughout PermiServ. So it was no longer, we supply stickers and packs and software. It was more, you need to go to PermiServ because they've done this 20 times, 30 times, 40 times. And now we're 100 times, 104 times we've done this. But not only have we done the new ones 104 times, but we've done all those renewals for 7 years. So we hear all the problems. Yeah. And so we become this knowledge hub organically, and that's been a really lovely change.
Totally that. So the just being a sort of print thing, I think that's been truly left behind now. Yeah, I see us more as a problem-solving outfit for local authorities, and what's amazing and really enjoyable now about what we do is that it sounds a bit arrogant, but I think we absolutely are the best in this niche, and there's a real sense of pride about doing it really, really well every time and helping councils out. They often come to us because they think we might be able to help them out, and we do, and that feels great.
But I think you are allowed to have that approach and be proud of that, because we have always said from day one that our objective is obviously to get in front of every single council in the UK to help them with this service, but also to basically take as much burden from the council and say, what can we do first? And that goes from whoever talks to whoever in PermiServ. That should be the level. And I think that's why it's been so successful, is because everyone thinks like that. Yeah. And it is about making sure that they're okay. What can we do? The answer is yes, we can do it. And we will help you with this journey, because it is the poison chalice, like you said earlier. And it's always given to someone right at the last minute.
Just to clarify, garden waste is the poison chalice for councils.
Yes, poison chalice for councils, not for us. And we have to guide them through that and make sure that they're okay, because it is a really hard project.
Yeah.
And they get a lot of backlash. And our job is to help mitigate that, really.
Exactly. I mean, if there is if what could happen, if there are any delays, if anything goes wrong, the PR is not good. No resident likes paying money for additional services. So I think we have to work together to minimise any errors that happen like that.
Yeah, definitely. How many people were there at PermiServ at the beginning?
It's difficult to say because it grew out of another company, the print business. But so initially it was, I had the idea. We had printers in the company already, so I guess they naturally sort of helped out doing these kind of pilot runs. But then we got one temp in to help me.
Yeah.
And then I thought, no, actually, this is going to work. Then I got you involved.
Yeah.
And then we got, I was trying to do the software development, some of the print, all the overprinting, all the sales. And I was ragged stupid. It was really hard to stay on top of that. And it was just comical. It was stupid. There were points where I had a camp bed at the factory to print overnight. I used to have my laptop next to the printing press so that I could code a new function as well as printing. It was just stupid. It was ridiculous. But then, so we got you involved to cover sales and customer service. I got a full-time lead developer. That was a wonderful day.
Yeah.
And then we got additional print staff, packing staff. Packing was initially hand packing, but you can't run a service like that. So, eventually we moved on to automated packing with 100% inspection, vital, extra staff to do it. So, initially it was just me, then one, you,
now we're
two,
14.
15.
15 now.
Yeah. I have a question for you.
Go on.
When we first started working together, what did you think you were joining? And how is that different to what you now see as your role?
Wow, that's a question. So what I thought I was joining was, it was very loose in its content, to be honest. I knew that it was print. I have no IT. I'm not self-confessing, I still don't. I don't want to. I don't need to. I have loads of people around me that know it.
It's good that you're not a developer. It means you can explain it properly.
Well, it gives me half a chance.
Yeah.
And I thought it was just going to be a customer services sales role. We thought it'd be quite a slow start. I think we both thought that because it was a new product. You were new in the industry and I was working only part-time. So I thought, okay, this would be nice just to get my foot back into sales and service again. It's not like I'd been out of it for ages. I was out of it for a couple of years, but I didn't really know what I wanted to do. And instantly loved it, but instantly realised it was not a part-time job. I think we both realised that overnight. So made the decision to go full-time. And it's been such a journey. It's nothing like I thought it would be in every best way possible. It's been an amazing journey to watch the company go from the beginning and, like you say, sleeping on a factory floor to now in a lovely factory with so much kit that really gives the service what it deserved. And I think everything in my career, all the different hats that I've had, have led to me being able to do this job because there are a lot of hats and I've had to learn in areas that I didn't think I'd ever get into, i.e. doing a podcast and all the events that I do. And I was judging the other week. This is all new for me and I absolutely love it. Why do you think it's important to have this software alongside the permit for councils?
I think the software is the backbone of what we do. I mean, to be honest, that is everything. It's a kind of control center for what we do. The having just generally code, software automation, just means that all the sort of drudgery and dog work and extra unnecessary communications are taken out of the the system. It means that, as our motto is, we put the council in complete control, but take all the admin away from the situation. I don't know. I just truly believe in automation. Some jobs should be done by robots, and some jobs should be done by people. The repetitive autonomous tasks are for robots. And levering the technology means you can just be really good at something. We know exactly where everything is in our production system, and bear in mind that there are times when there are 1 million permits in the factory. You need some automation on that. You can't just hope for the best, which is what non-specialists would do. But we don't do that. We know where everything is.
We have to, because of what the council actually needs to know. And I think these are conversations that come up in that beginning, those beginning conversations when they're looking at going chargeable. They don't always think about the problems after it goes live. They're so caught up, quite rightly, in the logistics and the operations side of things, that actually afterwards, it's then knowing, okay, well, now what's happened? I don't know what's happened. You need to know. You need to have that information in front of you from a management point of view, to know stats and reporting, to being able to have that customer on the phone and be able to confidently say, that was dispatched today, I'll be with you in 2 days. It not only gives you live information, but it also gives you the ability to resolve that call, to move on to the next one. So it's invaluable, and they don't always think about those things afterwards. And that's the bit that gets the bad PR, is if that bit doesn't go right.
Yeah. So what we do, and our software helps us provide a better service to local authorities, which helps them give a better service to residents. It just works.
Yeah. Why the rebrand?
Why the rebrand? I think because our original branding was done by me probably at sort of 7 o'clock in the evening while I was trying to do some other development work. And I kind of didn't really ever pay it much attention. And I think we were discussing it, weren't we? And it really needed to have something a lot more professional and sort of... I think the original branding was slightly confusing. Not really sure what the product was or what the service was. So we sort of, it worked with professionals to try and pinpoint and target that a bit better.
Get the message across better, and because it is a really hard thing to explain when someone asks you what it is you do. It is so difficult to get that right sentence, because it always sounds, I don't know, it is really hard. And still, after 7 years, I really struggle with that first kind of, what is it you do?
I don't tell people.
Don't tell people.
Else. I'm a fireman. What's different about what we do in customer service? What's the most important thing for you?
Most important thing for me is that the customer, the council, gets supported, and we take away as much as we can from them.
Yeah.
And resolve it as quickly as possible.
Yeah.
Whatever that question is, what can we do? What can we do? How can we fix this? How can we help you?
Yeah.
What is it that you need? And that's always the undertone of all of our communications. And also the team are really, really passionate.
Yeah.
There's no one at PermiServ that isn't passionate and dedicated and wants that exact result.
Yeah.
So everyone's invested in that, wherever we are, whether we're at an event, just chatting to people. We're interested in the industry. We're not just interested in, do you do garden waste? We're interested in all of it, because that ultimately helps us give you the best service, because the more we learn about what pressures the council's under, the better we can serve.
And I've always had that to all of our staff is if there's an inquiry or a problem that comes in, don't just answer it. Really try and think about what that person is asking for. How can you help them with their problems such that they walk away going, wow, that was good. That was good service. And I've heard that so many times now, and it really makes me happy when I hear a council saying, wow, that was good customer service. That makes me proud.
And that makes me proud as well. And I've worked in a lot of industries through my career, and I've worked in a lot of customer services. That's where I started. I've never worked at any company that's had so few negative conversations.
Yeah.
I could count on one hand in 7 years. And even then, they were around COVID and there was a lot of pressure on councils. It wasn't actually to do with us. It was to do with the way in which the country was being run at the time. It was out of our control. And we really do that, and they love it.
Yeah.
And there's so much. I mean, we've got a 99% retention rate, and anyone who's left and stopped using permits has never been because of service. It's always been because of political reasons or internal changes at the council. It's never been because of lack of service. And it's a really special company because of that. And I can go to any council and they all say positive things, which leads on to us doing these events. And that really shows the relationships that we've got with councils, because this is our third event on the 2nd of July. We pull in our resources and our relationships, and all of them come to these events and talk about how they run the service to help us and to help other councils. I mean, I don't know of any other company that would have that kind of relationship with their customers, that they would do that, take up valuable time to assist other councils. And we're giving a platform for them to be able to do that. And that's lovely. I can call any council and all of them would want to help.
So we've recently done a spate of events which have been absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
They've been phenomenal successes. And the feedback we've got from councils is they find them really useful. Tell me about that. Why did that idea come about? What's the goal in these events? What do you want to achieve?
Okay, so why did they come about? They came about from working with Larrick, actually, because we attend all of their events every year, and they give councils platforms to learn about everything within the waste industry and support each other through knowledge and information. And I went to a few seminars and listened to a few talks, and I thought to myself, there's none really dedicated to garden waste. Oh. I mean, that's probably true from a lot of services, food waste, etc. But obviously the one interest to us is the garden waste. So we did the first one last September. It was finger in the wind stuff. We didn't know how successful it was going to be. We didn't know how well received it was going to be. And in fact, when we first marketed it, there was still no announcement. So it was still very much no one knows if it's going to be chargeable or not. But we still went ahead with it. And I think it got announced like a few days after the event, actually, that garden waste was still going to remain chargeable. And it was such a success. So many councils came, and we had the support of 6 councils leading talks. And it was a really, really lovely event. So then we did the webinar because we had so much interest online at the last one. I thought, why not do just an online one?
How much did we contribute to the content of the event?
None. Because it wasn't about that. It was about... So the reason we put it together was to give councils a platform to share information. We're just supplying the room, the venue, the ambiance, and us as hosts to them sharing knowledge around offering a chargeable waste service. So they're going through pros and cons, they're going through what worked, what didn't, they're going through how they ran it and being really honest about it.
It felt more organic in that sense, didn't it? So each speaker had genuine knowledge on the subject. And there was no direction we were trying to flow in. It was just a straight up honest discussion, open discussion about what did and didn't work. I thought that worked so well. I was absolutely loving that event. It was
a really special day, and I absolutely loved it. It was very nerve-wracking because, again, that's something else new. I was public speaking. I mean, I think there was 60 people in the room, and then over 100 online. I was so nervous. I did get more confident towards the end and did a really awkward mic drop moment, but it was terrifying. But ultimately, the goal is that every council runs the best possible garden waste service to get the best response from their residents.
And to take out all the pain points. So if one council has been down route, that journey, they can share the experience with someone else and maybe take out some of the things that didn't work so well.
Yeah, and also highlight areas that maybe wouldn't have necessarily been thought of.
Yeah.
There was one council at the webinar that did a really good visual on some of the things that can happen that you wouldn't think would happen, like a whole tree being put in the garden waste. And you just wouldn't think that someone would do that, but there was a whole tree in a bin, and various other things that people would put in their garden waste bin that you just wouldn't think would happen.
Yeah.
So this is an insight, and then they will go, okay, well, how can we stop that? Do we need to do better communications on contamination? Do we need to do better communication at what can't go in the bin? And that should hopefully help them run the best possible garden waste service.
It definitely does. And every time we talk to attendees, the response is really good about that. I think there's genuinely useful stuff there to share with people about to do the same thing.
Yeah, and it's really interesting, actually. One of the councils that was at our event in September is now doing a speaker slot in this July.
Okay.
About their journey. So they came to our event last year. They learned what they learned in order to run the chargeable garden waste service. They've since gone live with us. And now they're coming to do a talk about that. So that'll be a really lovely journey for them. And if we played a small part in helping them with some of that knowledge that saves money, time, and gets the best PR possible, then I feel like we're winning.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
That is great to be able to share that, the learning journeys of other councils.
Yeah, and that really is what we want, ultimately. There's no hard sale here. I'm almost allergic to hard sell. Like pitch and hard sell. No one wants that, do they? And we are quite unique because we do kind of say, right, have everything before you even commit to us.
Yeah.
But that's because that is how the service runs. So in that initial conversation, if I hold back artwork and things or giving them access to the system until we get a PO, all that does is delay everything. And invariably, they will get the decision that, yes, they can run chargeable waste. Oh, by the way, it needs to happen in 3 weeks.
Yeah.
So therefore, we're already on the back foot. So we would rather have all that energy and time put into doing all we can without a PO and then say, I'm really sorry, we're not going ahead with you, than, right, we're going live in 3 weeks, let's go.
Yeah.
Perfect, we're ready, let's go. We're done. You've already done the artwork, you've already got access to the system, we've already done testing. We don't need a commitment because that's not how the service works. And we're really proud of that, to be that different.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's more authentic like that. We genuinely are trying to help.
Yeah.
And if we live and breathe that, it works. It works for us, it works for the council.
Yeah.
The golden question that has been on my mind for a while, and I know for a lot of the team, they have the same issue. When will we introduce Oscar the Grouch?
I really wondered where this was going. I was like, what are you going to ask me? No,
when will he be joining us on the roadshow?
We are never doing that, and I'm very dedicated to not doing that. But what we will do is we will carry on doing webinars and events for as long as possible to share as much knowledge as we can, and none of that will involve Oscar the Grouch. I'm very sorry.
Okay.
Maybe a notepad.
I'm disappointed.
I thought you might be. What's next? I think that'll probably be the next question. So what's next? That's a question to both of us, really.
Yeah.
Obviously, we've both been looking at the next year, 3 and 5 year plan, and there's loads of ideas floating around. But what is the next service that we're hearing about with councils?
Okay, so there are lots of... over the years, we've sort of experimented with different threads. The common theme is always customer service, assisting with technology and print. The commercial waste is something in the background. We're not quite sure how exactly that's going to fit in, but we do supply commercial waste systems, and we're experimenting with that. Food, I know that's something that you think's upcoming.
Yeah, I think the food waste is an area that I can see something with. I just don't know what that is yet. but I know it's really talked about. Obviously, every council's got to run a weekly service by 26. So I know it's a pressing matter, and it's one that's been talked about a lot. And normally, if something's talked about a lot, it means there's something there.
Yeah.
There's something we can help with to run that service for councils. And I was speaking to someone at the event at the Awards of Excellence the other night, and we were just talking about ideas, and it was well received. But again, they didn't really know what they needed.
I think, as it's always been for us, our next horizons will be responsive. So perhaps that's a question for anyone listening to this, is tell us, what would you like us to do?
What's the next project that we can help with?
Absolutely.
And then we'll develop something innovative around what you actually need.
Yeah.
What else makes us unique? I mean, there seems to be quite a few. But what else makes us unique in this industry?
I think it is, I'd summarise it with one sentence. I think it's our razor focus on customer service and solving problems for our customers. I mean, everything else is noise in that. I think we're genuinely, authentically there to solve our customers' problems.
Yeah.
And do it wholeheartedly as well.
Yeah.
Not resentfully, as you'll see in other industries, but sort of really trying to do it well, to end up with happy customers.
It really matters.
Yeah.
It really matters to us. I do think, though, and I'm really glad about it, that what makes us unique is having everything under one roof and it's all us.
Yeah, that's true.
Because that gives us flexibility that is needed for the customer. So
not just flexibility, but control is
control.
essential.
Yeah.
Not passing data to third parties.
Yeah.
Owning our production system, so we're not the third in the queue for. Often someone needs something done immediately.
I was going to say that. And I think these are things that aren't mentioned. So if Mrs. Smith is the repeat caller, and they've, for whatever reason, the dogs ate it, they've stuck it to the wrong bin. If the council confirms to us the permit ID, we can dispatch it same day by first class, by DPD signed for if they want it to, because we can make that call to our factory, our staff, and say, can you please do this? And it happens. And it matters to them that happens.
I go back to controlling this. I don't know how you could run a service like this using a third party. So
I've never understood
we know exactly when, to the second or fraction of a second, when our packing kit has seen our QR code or barcode. We know exactly where everything is. You don't have that if you work with a third party. So I don't know how you could reliably confirm that you've packed everything correctly, not mixed things up, and that you've presented everything to Royal Mail. I mean, you
can't. I think you won't have it, and that you don't have that reliability. And that's, again, why we're different.
Yeah. And that has cost us best part, probably over £1 million worth of kit involved with making that happen.
But that was another brave decision, wasn't it, through COVID?
Yeah.
Where we decided, right, okay, we either go out on this and put everything in place to really nail this as a service, or we don't.
Well, I'm being a boy, I do love new kit.
You do love new kit. And I'm glad that we made that decision. I mean, I think we probably went a bit over the top to begin with the amount of kit. But now, I mean, we're still nowhere near maximum capacity. And, I mean, this year alone, I think we did, like 1 million permits in March and 750,000 in April. I mean, these are big numbers of permits going out, and we're not at full capacity. But that's because we made the decision we want to work with every single council in the UK, and we put in the resources to be able to do that.
And we do it really, really well.
We do it really, really well.
We can look back at that with a sense of pride that we've done it nicely. Yeah.
And like I keep saying, it matters.
Yeah.
And we care about it. And I always put myself in a position of working at a council, and what would I need from any point of view? And they get some of the stuff that they get in from residents is heartbreaking, and I want to help with that. I want to make sure they get as few of those emails as possible, and I want to make it so that their working day is as good as possible. If I can have a small part in that, then I'm happy. And everyone at PermiServ is the same.
Well, it makes good business sense as well, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, so we live by recommendations. So we do that. Leave a council not just happy, but elated with as far as you can be with garden waste.
Yeah.
But no, actually, if it goes wrong, it's like seriously
You've only got to look at the internet.
But, so if it goes well and there are no problems, they'll give the good news to the next council and so on. I mean, that's why we work with over 100.
And that's why I love on our new website, there's a map that shows all the councils that we work with. And I think if you hover over the little logo, it shows the council that it is, when they joined us, and how many permits they've dispatched, I think. But that's really good for any councils looking for a neighbouring council to talk about how they run the service. And I'd definitely recommend using that tool to help you with some guidance, because it's always good to go to neighbouring councils, see what they do, their price, how they run the service, the operational side.
I would say another useful part in that is now I think we pretty much work with every finance or in-cab or routing software. So we can, if someone comes to us, like just happened on Friday, they want to set their service up in about, they're really pushing the limits. They want to get going in about 5 days. But it's okay. I know we can do it. I'm very confident that we will be able to. We can put them in touch with someone who uses the same software and make it happen for them. It's now quite procedural. We know what we're doing. Yeah,
we do. And we do work with a lot of the main in-cab providers, and that automated service is really key for a lot of councils, again, because it takes something away from them.
Yep.
And again, we're trying to make that a really enjoyable, easy service to be able to do that. So we work really closely with them to have those conversations direct rather than involving the council, because they've got other things to do.
Well, it's the same thing we've always done, taking the admin burden away, putting them in control. And if we're silently in the background orchestrating some of that, integrating with an in-cab provider, to the point where has happened recently with a council I can think of, where we almost have no touch with them, but it just happens autonomously in the background. I mean, that really is a sign of success, I think, if you don't notice any friction.
Yeah, definitely.
What's the most difficult challenge you've had to date at PermiServ? What's been the toughest, most difficult bridge to cross?
Wow. Most difficult bridge. The announcement. That was really difficult because everyone was up in the air. So I was having conversations with councils, but no one knew what they could and couldn't do.
The waste strategy.
Yeah. And all the events we were going to had a similar undertone, and everyone was getting quite frustrated.
But you found that more difficult than COVID?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I did. Because COVID was kind of regimented. Everyone was in the same boat. It was just a weird place for everyone.
Yeah.
With the waste strategy, it had so many different factors in it that stopped decisions, not just in garden waste, but in every area. So
we were in stasis, weren't we? Do we invest or do we run away from?
But that was the same at councils. That was the problem. That's why I found it so difficult, is because we were having conversations, but it was always coming at a dead end because they couldn't buy trucks because they didn't know if they had to have the trucks that were electric or they had to have trucks with the multi-compartments because they had to do the separation at curbside. No one knew. So they didn't know what bins, they didn't know how many, they didn't know what resources they had to get in. Equally, they didn't know if they could actually do it. So if the waste strategy had gone the way that a lot of people thought it would, there wasn't enough trucks to be able to manage it. So then it became this huge thing. So that was the thing I struggled with the most, was that awkwardness of not knowing. And at every event there was this angry edge to it, and everyone was just a bit disappointed and they weren't learning anything new.
Yeah, it was frustrating.
Really frustrating for everyone. So I did find that really difficult. Challenges within PermiServ, I would say that the same old is that pain barrier between getting more staff. So you get
as well. We're really fussy with staff. I truly believe in the sort of family team thing. I think everyone in this team would sort of metaphorically take a bullet for someone else.
Yeah.
Everyone has everyone's back, and also they have that. So they believe in the same message of making life easy for our customers. Yeah. So it's so hard to recruit. It really is so hard to recruit.
And because we're a small business and we all work from home pretty much, apart from the factory, it's really difficult to train and help each other really closely, but we are all so close. And that's a really difficult thing to be able to do when everyone's so separated.
Yeah.
So when you're recruiting, it's really hard to get the message across that it's not like anywhere else you've worked.
Yeah.
Because, and it is a challenge to start in this, because it is working from home. We trust everyone until given a reason not to.
And trust is the most important thing,
Yeah,
I think.
because you are trusting them to have the same message as what we've all got instantly.
Yeah.
And so we do spend a lot of time trying to recruit the right staff that have got the same ethos, I guess, as us lot. You know, what we do is not 9 to 5.
Yeah.
Councils don't work 9 to 5. I often get calls or emails late into the night because they've got pressures and problems.
Yeah.
And I will always endeavour to answer those when they come in. If they're calling me at 9 o'clock at night, there is a problem, and I'm there.
And that's the way we operate, isn't it? Yes, it is the 9 to 5 stuff, but also, I mean, so we have on our team mothers who need to, including yourself, who need to work slightly different hours.
Yeah.
And it just does work. If we have buy-in on both sides, you can have the flexibility, you can work from home, you can do different hours. But conversely, we're always looking for people who really do go above and beyond and act as, you know, we want our customers to think they've got a friend in the industry.
Yeah. What have you found the hardest?
Definitely the hardest part for me was when it all started being successful, the first few councils we got on board. One, I loved it. It was so exciting. It genuinely thrilling. But my God, I was working 100-hour weeks. I was not coping with trying to... Coding's sort of mentally taxing, and trying to do that as well as run print. I just didn't have enough staff. And I didn't have time to show people what to do. At the same time, trying to speak to customers while you're trying to print and code is just ridiculous. I didn't expect it to grow so quickly. That was resolved by you. Thanks.
Well, I just remember when we first spoke and I said, so what sort of targets have I got? It's like, just a couple of councils would be amazing right now. And I was like, okay, this is, good expectations. And then 6 months later, we've got another 10. I was like, this is escalating fairly quickly, because that first year, I think, ended on 33, if memory serves me right. It was very, very quick.
Yeah. And it's really important to me that each one of those isn't just another tick box, another, more money in the bank. We genuinely sort of closely work with them and solve their problems. That's my mantra. So it was important, and I could see we were about to start slipping with that. I just didn't have enough hours in the day to properly speak to all the customers. So that was my toughest point. But it was positive. It was because
the outcome is positive, and that is the nature of business, isn't it? You can't just throw everything at it and then hope for the best result.
Well, and at the time, I didn't know that it was going to grow, so I didn't want to get 10 staff on board with something that may or may not have taken off.
Yeah.
So we've got an event coming up. What's happening with that? What are the key features going on there, or what are you most looking forward to in that?
So it's on July 2nd at the Park Regis in Birmingham, same as last year. Want to keep it consistent. And it was a really good venue, to be honest, up in the glass room. And it's going to be slightly different this year. So last year we kind of tried the concept of workshops. It didn't really work. I think people still got something out of it. But again, I'm learning from this. I've never done events before. And although I'm heavily helped with Amy at Let's Recycle, I'm still running this event and I need to make sure that it works for the council. And that didn't. So we've taken that out, which has meant we can fit more people in, which is good. And we've already had a really good sign up for it. It's a free of charge event. And we've got another 6 of the councils that we've worked with for quite a while, some new, some old. Yeah. And they will be talking about challenges, various topics. I think one of them's talking about direct debits, and I'll be doing a little pitch, not about PermiServ, but about some of the things that maybe aren't mentioned around the customer services side. So around some of the emails I might get in, or around some of the complaints that the residents state, or problems like we've had one recently where the permit's been stuck in the window of the house.
Yeah.
And I heard the other week when I was on a podcast that someone had stuck it in their car window because they said that never moves, unlike the bin. So just these things that maybe they won't even consider may happen, as a little presentation that I'm going to do. And we've got Tim from Bartek.
Yeah.
Again, not selling. It's more positional around how in-cab and automation help or can help, and the front end solution. And we've also got Dan from RAP.
Oh, cool.
Around the strategy and some other information. He was at our webinar in January as well, so you can look that up
great.
on our website. Yeah, really good. And we've worked with him historically at councils anyway, so that's really nice to be able to see him in July.
Yeah.
So you can see a link to the event in the comments below, and you can just sign up, and it's a free of charge event.
With lunch provided.
We're so food orientated. The food is great.